This time, this x is already isolated. Most of the ones we've done for practice, we had isolated the y. But this time, this is on page 106, if I already have x by itself, then you should just use what you already have by itself. But we're going to draw an arrow to the x in the top equation, right? If you have it set aside for x, you have to plug it in for x in the top equation. So this time, it's just set up a little bit differently. We had y equals before. Now we have x equals. So we need to plug this in for x up here and rewrite this top equation. So we're going to keep the 2y the same. 2y minus 4 parentheses. 2y minus 8 goes inside that parentheses. And then equals negative 4. So now I have one equation that only has y. What's my next step to solve for y? Distributive property. So I'm going to distribute the negative 4 inside that parenthesis. So this 2y stays the same. I get negative 8y here. Anyone know what negative 4 times negative 8 is? Positive 32. All right, what's my next step? Sure, let's combine our like terms, and we can also subtract the 32, I think, in the same step. So I moved that to the other side. What if I have 2 and I subtract 8? How many y's would I have? Positive 2 minus 8. Huh? Negative 6y, and I end up with negative 36 because negative 4 minus 32 is negative 36. All right, so what does y have to be? Divide by negative 6. A negative divided by a negative is a positive. So that gives me that y is positive 6. Is that my whole answer? What do I have to do next? And it's easiest if you plug it back into that original circled thing that was by itself, because then you're just doing 2 times 6 minus 8, and that will give you what x is equal to. So x is equal to 2 times 6 minus 8. So 12 minus 8. Are your mental math skills waking back up, some of you, after not having math for a semester? So that would be 12 minus 8 is 4. How do I write my final answer? I should write it as a coordinate 4, 6. And if I wanted to check my answer, I could plug it back in and make sure it makes both equations true. All right, let's do another one together. So in example 2, can I slide this paper over? Let me know if you still needed that. Which variable is the easiest one to get by itself? There's only one good answer here. I don't want to get that 3x by itself. I don't want to get the 4y by itself. This y is the easiest one to get by itself. So don't make fractions if you don't have to. How am I going to get this y by itself down here? I'm going to subtract the 25 to the other side. These are not like terms. So I have 2x minus 25, separate. That is now isolated. I'm going to circle it. I need to plug that in for the y in the top equation, because if y is equal to that, I can substitute it in place of the y. So go ahead and rewrite that top equation. See if you can rewrite the top equation correctly without my help. Substitute it in and rewrite it. And I'll wait just a minute and see if you can do it without me. All right, so I should have 3x minus 4 of all those things, 2x minus 25, equals negative 5. My next step is to do the distributive property. Why don't you see if you can do that next step yourself? Try the distributive property. So write down what you think the next line should be. So once you've done the distributive property, you should look up and see if our lines match, and then maybe try the next step. How would you combine like terms to solve for x in the next step? And then once you do the next step, maybe you can look up and check that you've got that step right. Kind of one step at a time. So then I'll have you try. So I've got negative 5x. So did you get negative 5x equals negative 105? Then you might need a calculator if you're not sure what negative 105 divided by negative 5 turns into. So you could do that on a calculator. Does anyone not have a calculator at their desk? Probably need one today for some of these problems. So I don't have one. Put one in my pocket. You guys all need one? You guys need one? No? Okay. I think I have a couple left. Here's this one. You needed one, right? And I'm like just shy of having it. Who else needed one? Dylan? All right, so what is x? Should be positive 21. So now you're going to plug that 21 back in and see if you can figure out what y has to be. So we're doing all of this using algebra. We haven't done a single graph for this problem. So x is positive 21. I'm going to go look up here at my circled equation and plug it in. 2 times 21 minus 25, because that's what is circled. So that's the easiest one. 2 times 21 minus 25 will give me what y has to equal. So 42 minus 25 gives me what? 17. So now I'm going to write my answer 21, 17. So on both of those examples, we got one intersection point of the line. In example 3 and 4, you're going to see the other two possible outcomes, no solution and many solutions. But I want to show you what they look like algebraically so that when you see this situation, you just know, okay, that's no solution. So we're going to solve them using substitution so you can see what happens. What do you want to get by itself? Maybe the y in the first equation. So I would add 2x to the other side, right? So add 2x to the other side. Y equals 2x plus 7 is what I get from the first equation. So that's ready to get plugged into the bottom equation where that y goes. So I'm going to rewrite my bottom equation, negative 2x plus 2x plus 7. I don't really need parentheses because the coefficient of y was just a plus sign, equals 10. What is strange that you notice happens? I have 0 x's, but I have the equation 7 equal to 10. Is that a true or a false statement? Can 7 ever equal 10? Never. So what do you think the answer is to this substitution problem? No solution. These must have been parallel lines, And if you look back up at the top, see how they both had a slope of -2? They were just in a different order. Or sorry, they both would have a slope of +2. Because when I add the 2x to the other side, same thing here, I would have gotten 2x plus 10. So they were parallel with a different y-intercept. All right, so example 4 is going to be the final example that it's going to be many solutions this time. Can I move it to the next example? And then I'm going to have you try a couple for practice on the back. Okay, so example 4. Which one do you want to get by itself? This one is actually set up, would be better with elimination, but we don't know elimination yet. So I would try to get maybe this y by itself in the top equation. You could also get the y by itself in the bottom equation pretty easily. So maybe subtract the 10x first. Negative y equals -10x plus 100. Are the algebra skills maybe coming back to you, I hope? And then how do I get y by itself? I really am dividing the whole thing by -1. So my top equation, y equals 10x minus 100. That's going to get plugged in or substituted in for this y. So why don't you take a moment, rewrite the bottom equation, see if you can see what actually happens. So I'm going to rewrite the bottom equation. So you should try rewriting it without looking up until you have it rewritten. So do you see what happens with your 20x's? Your 20x's, again, one is positive, one is negative. They add up to 0, and that you get -200 equals -200. Well, that's always true. It doesn't matter if x is 1 or x is 8. -200 is always equal to -200. So this is the one where you can write many solutions or all points on the line, because this must be the same line, just written differently from each other. So we did those 4 problems together. On the back page, if you notice at the top, it starts with graphing. I'd actually like you to skip the graphing for now and try 3, 4, and 5 down at the bottom first so that I can help you with substitution. And that's what's on your homework that's due on Friday. So you have 2 nights, Wednesday night and Thursday night. That gives you Friday flex if you need Friday flex if you don't have a class meeting. So that'll be due Friday, homework 1-3. It's wrong on your the front page agenda. All my homeworks are like off by a day. So you might want to write on the front page or on the top of homework 1-3 that it's due on Friday. So try these 3 problems. This should be your goal, to get these 3 finished and get help on them, and hopefully do those top 2 that are graphing by the end of class. Because we've got about like 15 minutes left. So try those. Try it yourself. This just uses -200. And then because these came out equal, the answer is all points on the line. This one should have been no solution right now. This is all points on the line. So yeah, you see how this was already by itself. So when I use like plus this, and then it's that guy. You're going to end up parentheses and negative, the fact that you have to act in negative. You should have told me that before I did those notes. Remember I said speak now or forever hold your peace?